field pulls away from the starting grid. It's been a long winter here in the northeastern region of the country. Mother Nature has not been kind. On this Sizzler weekend, qualifying day was a wash. But still, the competitors came out in full force. 40 cars came out to time trial. And the very cream of the crop, the top 33, are staged before you here at the Stafford Speedway. CarQuest and TechNet are the proud sponsors that bring you the excitement of the event that is billed as the greatest race in the history of spring. I'm Ben Dodge, and we'll be covering the action along with me, Kyle Rickey, Raleigh Jacobs, and Gary Danko, who'll be working down on pit road.
Well, thank you, Ben. I will have all the here this afternoon for the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series, and there's always a lot of strategy that goes into the CarQuest TechNet Spring Scissor 200 laps for the Featherlight Modified Series. I'm with Barry Coonell, crew chief for Teddy Christopher. Barry, what is the game plan today for you and your race team?
We're just going to try to get a comfortable pace out there and see what the car brings us. And we try to get over 100 laps and then we'll adjust on it.
That's Barry Coonell, the crew chief for Ted Christopher's Mystique Motorsports Chevrolet car number 13. Now to Tony Sutton.
I think the thing to keep in mind today is that the temperature has gone up and the track conditions have definitely changed. A lot of the drivers have gone back and rechecked their stagger because they know if the surface is going to get hot quick. It's going to be an interesting situation to see who has the right handling setup, who has the right balance in the tires, and who has the ability to get to the front.
Well, Tony, you sound like an owl out there, but everybody's going to be howling here at this one. In a few short moments, we're going to bring you the start of this, the CarQuest Spring Sizzler from the Stafford Speedway. The story in this one, Ted Christopher was in victory lane 1 year ago. It was also the start for the man that sits alongside of him for Todd Szegedy. He ran so strong in the Featherlight Modified Series, he became Rookie of the Year back in 2002. That seems like a long time ago, Raleigh, but the fact is we're beginning another season of incredible competition. This is the oldest division in NASCAR, the mighty Modifieds. Exotic-looking machines, as we'll try to paint a little picture for those of you that are listening in on YahooBroadcast.com. This is the pride of racing in the northeastern region of the country. When they run by down the front straightaway area, you'll literally feel the ground shake beneath you. That's what modified racing is all about. The Featherlight Modified Series officials are ready. Jack Arute, the owner of the Stafford Motor Speedway, is ready. He sets proudly down on pit road on his golf cart, overlooking the field of mighty modifieds in preparation for the start. Well, here in Stafford Springs, Connecticut, we kick off spring with an event that we call the greatest race in the history of spring. So it's kind of appropriate as the field heads off turn number 4 that all of us get up and give them a wave, a big Stafford wave. Winter is over. Things are going to get heated up. The pavement is hot, and so won't the action be. Let's give them a send-off that they deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a wave. The toast of success. These are the men that live by the grace of God. They are the men of the Featherlight Modified Series. One winner in 2003. The yellow 4 car, the Bob Garbarino Mystic Missile, the Colton RV-sponsored race car. It won event number 1. Who will win event number 2? Mike Stefanik absent from the field. He's running a Busch Grand National car. He could have been the man that added another notch in the story of success for dominating Spring Sizzler competition. Teddy Christopher is looking to do it again. 2 in a row. His successful 2002 season started right here at Stafford. He dedicated that victory to Jack Arute Sr., who wasn't in attendance on that day. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dillon Mustang GT drops down on pit road. You are about to witness the start of this, the CarQuest TechNet Spring Sizzler, paired off in rows of 2. They head off turn number 4. Bob Slade looks the field over. We're green and racing. The greatest race in the history of spring is green. Down into turn number 1, it's Ted Christopher. At the point, as they head down the back straightaway, Christopher is the man in command.
Bo Gunning making his move on the outside now. Takes over the spot from Ed Flemke. Also moving up very quickly on the 48 of Tony Hirschman. Keep an eye on Bo Gunning. He's on a roll in this event early.
Gunning now moves into position number 5. That's the white and orange number 12 car. That's the TS Haulers machine. Hirschman, the fastest car through time, has moved in and taken over the 6th spot. Flemke up to 7th. Battle for the 9th and 10th position between Robbie Summers and the 71 of Bob Pulvereri. Woolley sets behind them. Then it's Eric Beers and Hosfeld with car number 4. Back to the stripe they come. Christopher's car did a dance without a partner that time, Raleigh. And here comes Devin George. Ralph Solem owns the race car. He's considered a master at setting this machine up, and Devin George is a kid that knows the definition of no fear.
That's it. You have the combination of Solem and George, and it's potent to be sure, as they show right now, moving right in on the back bumper of our leader, Christopher.
4 laps now complete. Christopher's got a mirror full of black, gold, and red, and that is Devin George. Visually, it appears that George is the quicker of the two. But running this event, based on the distance, it is very important to save those tires. Here comes George. To the outside, pulls it back into line, no magic there.
Meanwhile, a move being made by Ed Flemke going into turn 1, the bottom shot. It's going to work as he overtakes Tony Hirschman.
Flemke, that neon pink and white number 79, the Ron Bouchard Acura Store machine, has now moved in to take over position number 6. Flemke, bottom move. That's the type of move that his sponsor Ronnie Bouchard used to show him in Sizzler competition back in the 70s. Flemke's up to position number 5. Little further back in the field, Jerry Marquis with the blue number 3 car and Chris Kopech are duking it out.
And a spin back in the pack, Dan Avery involved in that one. That brings out our first portion of this event. Also involved in that one was Jamie Tomato aboard the 99.
So caution number 1 comes out with 8 laps into the record books in this feature event. The greatest race in the history of spring is car number 13, has been the dominant car so far. That, of course, is Ted Christopher, the Mystique Motorsports Barry Cannell prepared race car. The gentleman that's been challenging is the number 0 for Devin George out of Kunkletown, Pennsylvania. Now remember, George started this event in the 4th spot, and in 9 circuits, he quickly moved in to contend to take over the runner-up spot. Raleigh?
Yes, let's remind everyone, Ben, that Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to begin its 2nd year as the official race tire of the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Tour. As an industry leader in the development and production of racing tires, Hoosier is proud to bring our best to the finest modified drivers in the Northeast. Featherlight Modified Tour is a marquee member of a growing list of series that rely exclusively on Hoosier tires designed for champions.
Caution flag still remains out on the field. Car number 76, it looks like the Tom Bowles machine heading down on pit road. Tommy Bowles, another driver that competes in the SK Modified division as well as the Busch North Circuit on a limited basis. Butch Shea, the gentleman who's taken over as the crew chief of that car, and Howie Broad with the number 96 car, also down on pit road. Let's go down and check in with our 2 infield reporters.
Well, this is Tony Sutton. I wanted to make a couple of points. Several of the drivers in the SK race were complaining about overheating, so a lot of the crews have told their drivers, watch the temperature. Also, for this event, only 4 tires are allowed. Now, it's early in the season, and we normally don't talk about tire wear, but it's something to be concerned about here because some of the drivers have blistered the tires earlier on in the other events. Now down to Gary Danko.
I'm with Ralph Solem, who owns and is the crew chief for Devin George car number 0. We're in the early stages of this event. Your car looks pretty strong.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day. We think we got a comfortable setup. We just hope to keep it the whole race.
That's Ralph Solem, crew chief and owner of Devin George's car number 0. Back upstairs.
Thank you very much, Gary. Tony Sutton pointing out the importance of tire management in this event. We'll see what's going to happen as they come off turn number 4. Conditions are picture perfect. They've doubled the field up. On the inside of the front row, it's Ted Christopher with car number 13, Nevin George, the Ralph Solom number 0. The Haynes number 50 for Todd Szegedy sets in the second row with Tony Ferrante. Then it's Eddie Flemke, the 79 car. Alongside is the TS Haulers machine for Bo Gunning. Then it's Tony Hirschman with the number 48 car and the 77 machine for John Blewett III, who started this event in the 8th starting spot. 11 laps are now complete. They head off the second turn beneath the Diamond Vision screen down the back straightaway. Lights are off on the safety vehicle. They look to pick up the pace just a bit as they work their way off turn number 4. Kyle Rickey joins us here at Broadcast Central. We're about to go back to green, Kyle, as they come off turn 4.
And again, it's Ted Christopher on the restart back into turn number 1. Nevin George tries to follow suit in the outside lane. He's got a challenge from Todd Szegedy down to the inside. That's the best battle amongst the leaders onto the back straightaway. Side by side for second, also side by side for fourth between Ferrante in the outside and Flemke down low.
Flemke now holds a nice tight line. He'll take over position number 4. Trouble further back in the field. Car number 6 is involved in an altercation.
Leedy.
And that's the Jan Leedy machine. The 21 slips on by, but it appears that Charlie Pastriak becomes a victim of circumstances in this one, as the left front wheel on that race car literally pointed in the opposite direction of the right front wheel as Pastriak's Nolly's Auto Center number 5 sets to the inside of the racetrack just before pit road. So 13 laps are now complete.
Second caution flies quickly here, now 14 as they cross the line, and Charlie Pastriak may need some assistance getting back to his pit stall. Driver of car number 5 had such a good run a couple of weeks ago, the season opener at the Thompson Speedway. Off to a rough start here. Already has gone at least 1 lap down to the race leader, Ted Christopher. Looking for the three-peat here this afternoon. Nevin George in that second spot. Todd Szegedy, Tony Ferrante, and Eddie Flemke, the top 5. 2 cautions into this one, 14 laps. And counting here in the 200-lapper Spring Sizzler here at Stafford.
But with 14 laps up on the board, still under caution, calling for a record to assist the number 5 machine of Pastriak. As now you can see that Pastriak has taken off his helmet, and the number 5 car is being picked up by the hook. It'll be brought back behind pit road. Speaking of pit road, let's check in there.
Well, the word I just got out of Charlie Pastriak's pit crew, they believe that the oil pump belt has come off of that car, and that is the reason why he cannot get that car into his pit stall. So once again, Charlie Pastriak with car number 5. You can see the wrecker now is going to assist the Pastriak machine. Once again, the oil pump belt has come off of that machine. To Tony's side.
Well, from down here, visually, he's also got a slight toe problem because the wheels are pointing in 2 different directions. So once the belt's back on, they still got to fix whatever's broken in the front end of the car.
Gentlemen, it's a little bit more complicated than all of that. These engines run what they refer to as a dry sump system. That means the oil pump is on the exterior of the motor, not inside the motor itself. It has literally a little belt that drives that. When that belt comes off, that means one thing. It means the bearings in the bottom of the motor doesn't get any oil at all whatsoever, and that means the damage is severe. So if that is the story, then Pastriak is definitely out, with 15 laps now showing up on the board. Jan Leedy, the number 6 car, kind of an interesting story that surrounds this car, Kyle Rickey. If this car, you remember that Jan Leedy comes from the upstate New York area, right outside of Rochester. He always had a great working relationship with Maynard Troyer and Billy Colton, who owns Troyer Fabrication. That number 6, of course, is synonymous with Maynard Troyer and his success that he had, who literally made a mark in modified racing. He built more race cars at one point than anybody else in this business. Leedy brought that car out in New Hampshire, took it to Victory Lane a year ago. They're going to run it on a very limited schedule, but you can count on Jan Leedy and that combination of Colton RVs and van lines to be really tough to contend with.
He'll make his way back out onto the speedway in car number 6 as we continue under the caution flag. Let's go to the infield.
Well, they have brought Charlie Pastriak's car behind pit wall. They are taking the hood off the car. Charlie, first of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little bit disheartened. Seems like I can't get past the early race wreck in the Spring Sizzler, but we'll see what the damage is, and maybe we can get back out.
Do you know exactly right now what kind of damage you got underneath this machine?
Looks like left front, upper and lower control arm, and something happened with having the oil pressure, so we got to look at that.
That's Charlie Pastriak, the driver of the Dolly's Auto Center car number 5. He's behind pit wall. To Tony Sutton.
Well, the word down here on this end of the pits is that the drivers are being told to take your time, be patient. We need to get a few hot laps in here before we know how the tires are going to work and how the cars are going to come to the drivers. So everyone, the crews are telling their drivers, take it easy, take your time. Let's get a pattern going here. Let's get some rhythm, and then we'll be able to move to the front.
Thank you very much, Tony. Tony Sutton doing a great job with Gary Danko down at pit road. The teams haven't really had the opportunity to set in. 200 laps is a long time here at the half-mile facility, and for some of these teams, their strategy is just to run moderately in the beginning of the event, wait till a couple of caution comes out, pit for those tires, and then go for the gusto during the closing laps. Eddie Flemke is a car to keep your eyes on. It's back in that third row on the inside, that number 79 car. Right now, it appears that the pace car's diving down low to the center of the infield. It's showtime once again off turn number 4. Nevin George on the outside of Teddy Christopher. Row number 2, the Haynes Construction Company, number 50, for Szegedy, the mighty Ford, as they come off turn number 4. And it appeared that time, Kyle, that Nevin George got quite a jump on Teddy Christopher.
Got a good jump back to turn number 1. Did Nevin George on Christopher, but it's not going to let Christopher bother him. Back down to the inside in turn number 2, and we'll try and retake the top spot. Already onto the back straightaway in turn 3. Christopher is the leader. Nevin George doesn't even lead a lap, and we'll try and pull Todd Szegedy with him on the inside as they fan out back to the front straightaway.
Szegedy now tries to make the same type of move, but Nevin George will suddenly shut the door, and that's going to change things there. Behind him, it'll be Eddie Flemke with the number 79 car. Further back in the field, keep your eyes on the yellow number 77 for John Beluit. He's running to the outside of Bo Gunning. Then it's Robbie Summers, Bob Polvereri, Ken Woolley, and the number 4 car, the winner of the first event of 2003 for Chuck Hosfeld.
Oswald goes to the outside of Woolley, and now Polvereri in turn number 3 picks up a couple spots, does the driver of car number 4 of Hoswell, Kyle, trying to make it 2 in a row here this afternoon at Stafford Motor Speedway. They're back into turn number 1 at the front of the field. No change. It's Christopher, Nevin George, Todd Szegedy, Eddie Flemke among the front 4.
Good battle going on right now between Hosfeld with the number 4 car and the 71 of Bob Polvereri. They are wheel to wheel off turn number 4. Eric Beers and Jerry Marquis right there with him. That's the mighty Mopar of Beers. Down the back straightaway, we've got a challenge for the 3rd spot. That challenge for the lead. Same time, Kyle. We've got a brand new leader.
Going to be Nevin George. He'll come off of turn number 4 and lead lap number 23. Move Christopher to 2nd. Flemke still in that 3rd spot. Szegedy in 4th, and Hirschman to round out the top 5. Got around Ferrante just a moment ago.
Down the back straightaway, it is now car number 0 in command for Nevin George. Christopher still setting in 2nd. Flemke still in 3rd. Szegedy in the 4th spot, and Hirschman is among the top 5. That was the quickest car in time trials. 6th is Ferrante. 7th is Bo Gunning. 8th is Robbie Summers. 9th is John Beluit, and 10th is Ken Woolley. Just out of the top 10, Polvereri, Hosfeld, Marquis, Beers, and Sylvester.
Look for some of those drivers to come to the front as this race continues on, still in its early stages. There's 25 laps of the 200 complete for the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series. Back up front, we can see a 2-car breakaway at the front of the field between Nevin George in the 0 and the 13 of Ted Christopher. 3 car lengths back, 3rd place Eddie Flemke, and 4th place Todd Szegedy. Bumper tag at the front of the field. Once again, Christopher looked to the inside for the top spot.
He sure does, but Nevin George isn't about to give up that spot without a fight. He backs it up just a bit, brings them back down to the line, and it is still Nevin George in command. Christopher still tapping on heaven's door. Flemke pulls away from Todd Szegedy. That's the battle for 3rd and 4th. Then it's Hirschman in the 5th spot. 6th is still Ferrante. 7th spot is Gunning. 8th spot is Summers, and Summers has got a mirror full of John Beluit. Blewett is all over his back bumper.
The battle just inside of the top 10 onto the back straightaway. Summers holds that spot for now. Blewett right there looking to the inside. Another driver further back in the field to watch. Car number 1, Rick Fuller, new ride this season for that driver. Past winner here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Goes to the outside of Carl Pastriak. Had to take a provisional to get into this event. Has made his way up about halfway through the field.
Sure has. He started back in the 31st starting position. He's got Tommy Bowles with him. Remember, Bowles pitted earlier. And there's the 54 of David Etheridge. Kenny Bouchard, the 55 car. That's the red Chevrolet Cavalier. Also with that pack of cars. Down the back straightaway. Look at the battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Summers goes to the bottom. Woolley to the outside.
Yeah, Woolley and Blewett the third went to the outside, and they each got by and gained a spot as we have an incident over in turn number 4. It's Mike Moeller, single car. So far, so good for that driver. He'll keep it fired up, and we'll stay under the green flag here at the completion of lap 32. More trouble in turn number 2. 3 cars involved in the incident. This will bring out the caution.
Cars involved in the altercation include the 25 of Rene Dupuis.
It's like the 10 for Dan Avery pulled away.
And it looks like there is a third car. We believe it's the 75 of Carl Pastriak that was involved in the altercation. Caution comes out on lap number 32. Let's go down up pit road.
Well, there was number 75 that went up against the wall, and it seemed like he got pinched up against the wall earlier on going into turn number 1 and was unable to clear the event. And it wrapped up 3 cars, including Charlie Pastriak, who got the Powerade move of the race last week for moving up from 33rd to 14th.
So the record there to assist the Pastriak number 75. Donnie Leah is down at pit road with car number 18. As Raleigh mentioned in the starting lineup, this is a gentleman that been showing a lot of potential coming from the short tracks, Long Island, New York. Let's go back down at pit road.
I'm with Phil Moran, the crew chief for Todd Szegedy's Haynes Material Ford. Phil, right now, early stages in this event, the car seems to be pretty good. You're running among the top 5. What's Todd telling you?
Todd tells right now the car's just a little bit tight from the center up off, which is really good for a long run like this. Just got to keep patient. It's a long race. The Haynes Construction Materials car is running great. Looking for a good finish.
What is your strategy here this afternoon?
I don't want to say too much. Too many people are listening. We'll come in and pit. Hopefully we want to be the leader, pit with the leaders, take on 3 tires and save 1, and be up in the front at the end.
That's Phil Moran, crew chief for Todd Szegedy's number 50 machine.
Caution continues for the 3rd time here in this Spring Sizzler for the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series. Ted Christopher led early, and now it's Nevin George's turn at the front of the field. Eddie Flemke, Todd Szegedy, and Tony Hirschman will round out the top 5 as they cross the line and complete lap number 34.
Well, the number 76 car, the NASCAR officials are stating that that car possibly could be leaking some kind of fluid on the racetrack. So Tommy Bowles' machine pulls alongside of the pace car, and he'll be heading down on pit road. Work still continues on Donnie Leah's number 18. Not a good day for the Pastriak brothers. First, Charlie Pastriak loses the belt off the dry sump and does some damage to the front suspension. Now Carl Pastriak was involved in a mix-up. What appears to be front suspension damage done to the number 75 car. So with 34 laps now complete, we'll set the field for you. Car number 0, Nevin George. Setting in position number 1, Nevin started the event in the 4th starting spot. Eddie Christopher setting in 2nd. 3rd is the 79 of Eddie Flemke. 4th spot, Todd Szegedy, the Haynes Construction number 50. 5th spot, the Camco number 48 for Tony Hirschman. 6th spot, Tony Ferrante, the blue number 31. Then it is the 17, the TS Haulers machine for Bo Gunning. Correction, that's the 12 car. They do have a 17 car as well, but they're running the 12 car in this event. 77 is John Blewett. Ken Woolley is next with the 41. Rob Summers, the 11 car. Bob Polvereri, the 71. And Chuck Hosfeld with the number 4 car. That's currently how they stand amongst the top 15. Let's go quickly down on pit road.
I'm with Dave Hill, the crew chief for Ed Flemke Jr.'s machine. Dave, you guys are having a strong run. What's Eddie telling you?
The car's very good. It's just a little bit tight, but I keep telling him that it's going to come to him and be better.
That's Dave Hill, crew chief for Ed Flemke Jr.'s number 79. Ben?
You know, if you're kind of wondering if he sounds a little different, The Hill operation literally is one of the race teams, the only race team in the Featherlight Modified Series that is maintained in the South. And they are a traditional Southern family. So the crew chief spreading those good Southern gospel words of success to his driver, Eddie Flemke, second-generation driver who currently sits among the top 3 cars here. Tony, could you check on the Donnie Leah number 18 car? We see a lot of steam coming from beneath the engine of that race car as well. And now Jan Leedy is back in and out of pit road with car number 6.
Well, Leah had, he was overheating and putting out a little bit of fluid, and they brought him back in, but the crew was complaining that it was, the overflow pipe was working as it was supposed to. Down here by the 75, they are changing a spindle on this car. A spindle, that is a major job. As Leah's car is still smoking, we're moving our way over there. They cannot determine what it is that's causing that, but the crew is moving very slow, and the NASCAR officials are saying, you got to fix this before he goes back out.
And been a tough break for Donnie Leah. Had a relatively good qualifying effort.
Sure did.
Started 16th here this afternoon.
He's been coming on very, very strong, too. You can see the potential from that young driver. Car number 34 pulls out of line, and it looks to head down on pit road. That's the Dick Houlihan machine. Joey Caraccia previously drove that car, and that car pulls back behind pit road. As they come off turn number 4, they go up through the gears, and this time the outside lane looks racy, Kyle, as Christopher does not get snookered by Nevin George again.
Christopher leads him to turn 2 and onto the back straightaway. Nevin George and Todd Szegedy now run side-by-side racing for second. Christopher backs up just a bit. Here comes Nevin George back to the inside, and he'll retake the lead off of turn 4.
This shuffles the deck. The high cards will try to rise to the top, and Flemke moves into the 3rd spot. Then it's Szegedy back in position number 4. With Hirschman in the 5th spot, we've got one around, the 96 of Howie Broad, to the bottom of turns 3 and 4, and that brings out yet another yellow, the 4th caution of the events.
Single car incident for Howie Broad up in turn number 3. Should be a quick one, as that car has refired and will join the tail end of the field.
Kyle, on that last restart, it appeared that right from the start, Christopher got a nice run in the outside lane. It almost appeared that the 0 of Nevin George faltered just a bit on the start. Then things got shuffled a bit down the back straightaway. Flemke managed to move in as Todd Szegedy got bounced around just a bit. So George is your leader. Christopher back in 2nd. Flemke in the 3rd spot with Szegedy in position number 4. Rounding out the top 5 is Tony Hirschman, man that set fast time here this afternoon. Then in 6th spot is John Blewett. 7th is Robbie Summers. 8th spot Ferrante. 9th spot is Chuck Hosfield as we go back down on pit road.
Well, 34 Dick Whelen in the Nerf bar is pushed in all the way against the side of the car. Also, the header pipe is broken loose on that last contact, so they're now down at hams. They're going to weld on the header pipe back to the collector box, back onto the headers and try and straighten out the Nerf bars on the number 34 car as we go over to Gary Danko.
Well, Donnie Lee is also behind the pit wall with car number 18. I'm talking with one of his crew members exactly what is wrong with car number 18.
Yeah, it's obviously it's overheating. We really don't know why at the moment. We may have lost the battery, which in turn lost the electric fan. That seems to be the problem.
So a tough break for Donnie Lee as his car is behind the wall.
Very tough situation there. Work still continues. 34 car driven by Dick Houlihan. Houlihan is an outstanding competitor who has competed with a tremendous amount of success for several years in full-body pro stock competition. He took over this ride from Joey Caraccia. Caraccia is a strong engine builder and actually is the builder of the engine in the number 11 car driven by Robbie Summers. So want to take a look at the sample of the horsepower that Caraccia can build. You're looking at it as now the field's still under single file formation as we speak. Work still continues on Jan Leedy's number 6 car. And now the 34 car of Houlihan appears to be heading back out. Joe Ham, the welder here, has done an outstanding job here today attacking that muffler and exhaust extension back on the number 34 car. It'll pick up at the rear of the field.
Might have lost a couple of laps in the pit area for Dick Houlihan, car number 34, at least 2.
Dick is looking really for some seat time in this, trying to get used to all of this, and now it appears that the 6 car is perhaps going behind pit road as well for Jan Leedy. Leedy brought out this race car at New Hampshire a year ago, put it in the winner's circle. Leedy's family was a long time involved in Featherlight Modified Series Racing, and decided to take some time off and on a very limited schedule. They were looking for big things here this weekend, but apparently that's all suddenly changed as that car now being driven back down in pit road. Pulling out of line is the number 14 car for Eric Beers out of Northampton, Pennsylvania. Beers just recently became a brand new dad of a baby boy for him and his lovely wife. Had a great run at Thompson in the first event of the season, and now the Bear Motorsports machine, that big guy in the white t-shirt there, is the owner of the race car. That's Bear Colaccio. And the Grasso brothers jacking up the car. Looked like they were going to check stagger on the car, Kyle, and then they literally dropped the jack on the race car, so never got to do all of that.
They might have realized that the field was getting the one-to-go signal to the start-finish line. And when we get the 14 car back out on the track, Bill remains in his pit stall. There it goes.
Well, they made an adjustment to the sway bar on the front. You saw one of the crew members inside the left front wheel, a couple of wrenches, trying to make a quick adjustment to send Beers back out in the competition in this one. Still a long way to go, 42 of the 200 in this Car Quest. TechNet, the professional auto service. Folks, Spring Sizzler. We're about to go back to green. Here's Kyle Rickey with the call.
Evan George will lead him around off of turn number 4 with Christopher to his outside. Lemke and Szegedy in row 2. Hirschman and Blewett the third in that third row. Getting set to go off of turn number 4. Also, move in the 11. Back down to the stripe, and it is going to be Nevin George leading in turn number 1. Christopher hangs tough in the outside lane, dead even to turn number 2. George dumps out front. Christopher to second, side by side for third as another car goes spinning in turn number 2. It's Moeller all by himself to the inside.
Challenge is on for the second and the third spot. Here comes Lemke to the inside lane. Hirschman becomes the tail that wags the dog. Blewett becomes a factor in this one. That's the battle among the top 5 positions here.
Turn number 4, single car incident will bring out the 5th caution of the afternoon.
It is car number 76 for Tommy Bowles. Bowles has had a very difficult afternoon so far. Right front tire going down on the number 76 machine. So Butch Shea's got to perform more miracles on the Bowles car to get it back out here in the competition. Mike Moeller was the car that spun earlier down to the bottom of turn number 2. Let's go down on pit road.
Well, Jan Leedy is out of the car. They're looking at it. Jan, if I could bother you for just a second. They're looking at right now the situation in the front. Explain to us what happened.
Well, I guess it was a close call going into turn 3 down there early in the event, and somebody got in the left rear of me, turned me around, and nothing Charlie could do. Pastriak got into me a little bit, and it kind of messed up the front end enough where it's not worth it to go back out.
That's it from Jan Leedy now. Let's go down to Gary Danko.
We'll check in with Gary in just a moment. 45 laps on the scoreboard. The NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series and their 200-lap grind here, part of the Spring Sizzler.
Well, you can see pulling out of line, Eric Beers apparently looking to head back down on pit road. Tommy Bowles looking to come in. He was the car that brought out the caution, and it almost appears as if Bo Gunning, with Eddie Partridge's number 12, will also be looking to head down on pit road.
Evan George continues to lead under this caution flag. Let's go back to Gary in the pits.
Well, I just talked to the crew chief for John Blewett's car. He said he's been very quiet on the radio, just said that the car is a little bit tight, but feels pretty good to him. And they think that they have a car possibly of getting into victory lane here later this afternoon. To Tony Sutton.
Waiting for Bowles to come in. The 76, the crew is on the wall. They've got tires out ready to change. They're waiting for him to come around so they can get into the pits. The pits are open. The crew very frustrated because he was brought in twice for what appeared to be leaking fluid, but they could not determine where the leak was coming from. And now this incident up against the wall as the 76 of Bowles waits to come into his pits for fuel and tires.
You know, a car to keep your eyes on is the number 1 car for Ricky Fuller, because Fuller started back, as we said, used a provisional starting spot in the 31st starting position. He has literally, at this point in the event, with 46 laps in, passed more cars than anyone else on the racetrack. We're going to send Gary Danko and Tony Sutton over to check with the crew chief on car number 1 and tell us if Ricky Fuller is really that comfortable. He could become a big surprise in this event.
That's mid-pack right now. Driver of car number 1 for Fuller made his way up about halfway through the field, just to the inside of Chris Kopech on this restart. here being told to cross over. Next time around, they should get the one-to-go signal. We should get back at it here.
Bo Gunning's car, right rear tire being put on that machine. Eric Beers, his number 14 car down at pit road. They're still working on a sway bar adjustment of that machine. Gunning pulls away. Let's go down to pit road.
Well, I'll tell you what, the number 14 car, they're cutting away sheet metal on the front of the car, and guess what? They're trying to get more air into the radiator. We talked about it earlier. It's warming up here, boy, in spring, and it's starting to affect the cooling systems of the cars.
It sure is. That's the mighty Mopar, and they're planning on big things out of that combination during the course of the 2003 season. Doubling the field back up, the 0 car is, of course, your leader. It pulls to the inside in this double file restart for Nevin George. Teddy Christopher on the outside of the front row. Row number 2, Eddie Flemke with the 79 car. Haynes Construction, number 50 for Szegedy. Camco, Key Material, 48 for Tony Hirschman. John Blewett, the number 77. Robbie Summers, the 11. And the 31 of Tony Ferrante. Then it's Chuck Hosfeld, Ken Woolley. That's the way they stand currently among the top 8 positions. 48 and counting. Let's go back down to pit road.
I'm with the crew chief for Bo Gunning's machine. You brought him down on pit road. Tell us exactly what you did and what he said the car is doing.
Okay, he's running a little loose right now, so we decided to stop early, change the rear tires, and make a couple adjustments and snug them up. And now hopefully he'll be able to run his own race. These other guys have to pit yet, and we'll go from there.
Okay, that's Steve Partino, the crew chief for Bo Gunning's entry. To Tony Sutton.
Well, we're down here trying to figure out exactly what's going on with Fuller in the number 1 car, but we have not been able to get a confirmation on conversation between him and his crew.
He'll restart just inside of the top 20 as we go back under the green flag. Nevin George back to turn number 1 will be scored as the race's leader. Ted Christopher into the outside lane. He's challenged to the inside by Eddie Flemke. Flemke will have the spot onto the back straightaway, moving Christopher back to 3rd.
Here comes Tony Hirschman. He's challenging Szegedy. That's the battle for position number 4. Right there with him is Robbie Summers with car number 11 and John Blewett with the number 77 car.
Back to turn number 1. Blewett trying to make his way into the top 5 side by side. Off the corner with Blewett in the outside lane. Here comes Chuck Hosfeld. Car number 4 makes a bold move to the inside in turn number 3 to try and pick up a spot on John Blewett, who slips up the speedway. Loses not 1, but 2 more positions as the 41 goes to the inside.
No question about it. Hosfeld is now making his presence felt among the top 8 positions here. Meanwhile, Hirschman moves in, takes over the 4th spot. Zegedy's back to 5th. Here comes Hosfeld down underneath Robbie Summers. He can't believe his eyes. And Woolley becomes the tail that wags the dog. Summers is hung out to dry in the outside lane.
Summers continues to go backwards. The driver of car number 11, side by side with the 41 now into turn number 2 and give the spot to Ken Woolley, moving Summers back to the 8th spot. Tony Ferrante next in line, followed by Bob Pulvereri. That's the front half of the field off of turn number 4, just past the 1/4 mark here into Spring Sizzler.
Down into turn number 1, the lap car becomes the 76 of Tommy Bowles. As Nevin George makes it on by, Bowles pulls to the inside of the racetrack. Single file in formation, they head down the back straightaway. Let's set the field for you among the top 10 cars. Nevin George, currently your leader, car number 0. Flemke setting in 2nd with the 79 car. 3rd is Christopher. Mike Moeller spins again between turns 3 and 4. Hirschman setting in the 4th spot. Szegedy in position number 5. 6th spot is Hosfeld. 7th spot is Woolley. 8th spot is Summers. 9th spot is Ferrante, and Bob Pulvereri has moved into the top 10.
That's the top 10 onto the back straightaway, and Flemke has reeled in Nevin George for the race lead, playing a little bit of bumper tag off of turn number 4. Among the top 2 competitors, George, race leader. Here comes Flemke, looks down to the inside in turn number 1, all the way down to the inside grass, and new race leader in turn number 2. Flemke goes to the head of the class, moves George back to 2nd, Christopher in 3rd, and Tony Hirschman in 4th.
3 different leaders so far. Eddie Flemke looks so strong during the first 25 laps. He looks even stronger now, running at the point. Hirschman now applying a lot of pressure to Teddy Christopher in an effort to try to take over that 3rd spot. Little further back in the field. Just out of the top 10. Tom Baldwin with the number 7 car, the 1 of Ricky Fuller, and Zach Sylvester with the number 15.
just outside of the top 10 is Zach Sylvester, as the front half of the field all of a sudden snaps back together. Top 7 cars all nose to tail. Back to turn number 4, continuing to be led by Eddie Flemke in car number 79. Nevin George in the 2nd spot, Christopher 3rd, Hirschman 4th, Szegedy in 5th, and further back, Chuck Hosfeld, winner a couple of weeks ago in the season opener, in the 6th spot, followed by Ken Woolley in the 41, having a great run here in the early stages.
Chuck Hosfeld is just so smooth and so consistent. He is very calculated in the moves that he makes in the racetrack. He doesn't overuse the tires. He's running very, very consistent and very smooth. Ken Woolley is right there with him. That is the battle just out of the top 5. That's the battle for the 6th and 7th spot currently on the racetrack. A little further back in the field, we see a battle between the number 1 car of Ricky Fuller, Zach Sylvester in the number 15. Following them, it is David Etheridge with the 54 car, Chris Kopech in the number 16, and the 94 for Jimmy Broderick that started this event in a scratch starting spot. Dan Avery also trying to come back towards the front of the field.
That's from 14th on back. Rick Fuller has the 14th spot. And in that 15th spot is Zach Sylvester. They shuffle the deck at the front of the field. Nevin George looking to the outside of Flemke. He wants the lead back off of turn number 4. Has to settle back in the line. Flemke leads him to complete lap number 63. Christopher 2 car lengths back in that 3rd spot, car number 13, followed by Hirschman and Szegedy. That's the front 5.
63 laps now complete in this event. Car number 79, Eddie Flemke, hunted down by Nevin George. Still no magic yet. Ken Woolley with the 41 car. Now we've got a bid for the lead. Off turn 2. Down the back straightaway. Nevin George will try it. Flemke shuts the door. There's no room at the end this time.
May cost George a spot off of turn number 4 as Ted Christopher slips his nose to the bottom side of the speedway. Now pulls back into 3rd. Nevin George not giving up on that outside groove though. Flemke moves up, continues to hold the top spot. George in 2nd. Christopher backs off just a bit in 3rd. Hirschman, Szegedy, Hosfeld, and Woolley. That's the front group off turn 4.
They've literally started to pull away by about 3 car lengths over the next car, which is the 11 of Robbie Summers and Tony Ferrante. They're forming another pack of 5 cars consisting of Paul Vereri, Jerry Marquis, and John Blewett. Tommy Baldwin, the 7 car, is next, followed by Ricky Fuller in the number 1 and Zach Sylvester with car number 15. 67 laps and counting from the Stafford Motor Speedway.
Back to turn 2, it continues to be Eddie Flemke setting a blistering pace here at the front of the field with Nevin George in that 2nd spot, not giving up the outside lane. Christopher not giving up the bottom. He takes a look to the inside for 2nd, falls back in the line. They all equal out off of turn number 4 in the single file formation.
Nevin George was almost there. He went in exceptionally hard into turn number 1, pulled it back in the line. Flemke is running the picture-perfect line, and he's going to make Nevin George work for it.
It's going to be tough for Nevin George as Eddie Flemke almost running the same line as Nevin is trying to run. As Nevin goes up high, Flemke does as well. Nevin not being able to make it stick. The outside groove, Christopher just watching it all unfold in front of him in 3rd. Tony Hirschman, and now Chuck Hosfeld backs up just a bit. He continues in that 6th spot, but loses the lead group. Is now challenged by Ken Woolley back to turn number 1. That's the battle for 5th and 6th. Hosfeld holds him off for now.
Ken Woolley now tries it again. He gives a solid shot to the back bumper, little chrome horn action there. Woolley with that move, bounces back. He'll now challenge on the inside. Ken Woolley pulls it back up the racetrack. Stays glued to the back bumper of Hosfeld. Can't do it. Faster of the 2 appears to be Woolley, but Hosfeld is running that picture-perfect line. Now Woolley has tried everything, but there's nothing going to happen here yet.
Ken Woolley looks a little bit quicker than Hosfeld off of both turn 2 and turn 4. Hosfeld a little better getting into the turn. Look at Woolley accelerate onto the back straightaway right up to the back bumper of Hosfeld. Hosfeld gets into the corner a little deeper. Then Woolley, who goes now to the outside lane, can't make it work. That's the battle for 6th and 7th on the speedway and about 5 car lengths behind the lead pack of 5. Continuing to be led by Eddie Flemke, Nevin George in 2nd, Christopher in 3rd, Tony Hirschman 4th, and Todd Szegedy to round out the front 5.
Amazingly enough, Ken Woolley seems
Trouble
to
in
have
turn
so
number
much
2.
power.
One car goes around. It's Dan Avery in car number 10. Lost it all by himself.
He spins to the bottom side of the racetrack, gets it fired back up. I don't believe we're going to have a caution. No, we're still under green. Leaders comes up on Dan Avery's Budweiser machine.
Continuing to stay under the green flag. 75 laps about to be complete here in the Spring Sizzler at Stafford, and Eddie Flemke continues to show the way. A car length over Nevin George. Back to turn number 1. The top 5 all nose to tail into the corner, trying to put a lap on Dan Avery, who was involved in a minor incident in turn number 2 a moment ago. Did a 360 in the dirt on the bottom of turn number 2. Kept it rolling.
The best battle of the racetrack is still between Ken Woolley with that red number 41, the pride of New Jersey, and Chuck Hosfeld with the number 4 car. Woolley at one point almost was alongside of Hosfeld. But if you mark the print of the tires on Hosfeld's race car, you discover that each and every lap he runs the picture-perfect line, forcing Woolley to try it high and low, but he just can't do it. But now, the lead pack of cars have come up on Dan Avery.
And Dan Avery has allowed, in slowing...
Trouble now. We've got Mike Moeller in front of the lead pack of cars spinning.
Got a chain reaction at the back of the pack. Szegedy got into, or Hosfeld got into Szegedy. Woolley got into Hosfeld. Everybody seems to be okay as everybody checked up for the spinning Mike Moeller. Bring out the 6th caution of the event. Lap number 78 in the books here at the Stafford Motor Speedway.
Mike Moeller, of course, spun to the inside of the racetrack on a corner between turns 3 and 4 that Moeller has already spun on 2 different occasions during the first 78 laps of competition. Let's set the field for you. Car number 79, the Ron Bouchard Acura store. Sponsored machine, setting in position number 1 for Eddie Flemke. Nevin George, the Ralph Solom Racing Enterprises special, setting in 2nd. Ted Christopher, Jimmy Galante's Mystique Motorsports number 13 is 3rd. Then it is the Key Material Amco number 48 machine for Tony Hirschman, setting in the 4th spot. 5th spot, the Haynes Construction number 50 for Todd Szegedy. 6th position, that incredible battle between Chuck Hosfeld in the number 4 car, the Colton Vans, an RV sponsored car, and the number 41 car of Ken Woolley. Then it's the 11 of Robbie Summers, 31 of Tony Ferrante. Bob Polvereri is next with the 71, followed by the yellow 77 for John Blewett. A lot of cars pulling out of line. The 3 of Jerry Marquis is looking to head down on pit road.
Looks like
Zach Sylvester in the number
Polvereri.
15. 16 of Chris Kopech, and Tiger Tom Baldwin with the number 7 car. Baldwin's race car is not the traditional black that you're used to seeing. This is Pete Beal's race car. Pete Beal, of course, a year ago in the Spring Sizzler. Tim Conley sat behind the wheel of that race car and ran very strong throughout the event. Now teamed up with Tom Baldwin. Pete Beal was teamed up with Mike Stefanik the year that he was a dominant car in the Featherlight Modified Series here at Stafford. Baldwin's car down at pit road. Marquis' car, Polvereri's, Zach Sylvester, Chris Kopech, David Etheridge, Eric Beers, Bo Gunning.
Let's go to the pits.
Polvereri 71 in. They're going to right side tires right now. They've decided to do a stagger change. They got 2 tires changed on the car. They're putting the new tires on. Now they go to the other side. This is going to be a 3-tire change for the number 71. Bo Gunning, they're down there looking at the suspension, making some adjustments on the front of the car because he's complaining about handling as they work on the number 12 car. The rest of the crew's working frantically trying to get the cars finished as Polvereri ready to drop off the jacks and move out. Let's go down to Gary.
Terry Marquis is also in with car number 3. They put on a left rear tire on that car. He is down and away. Polvereri also on his way out along with Chris Kopech.
Joining that pack of cars is the number 15 for Zach Sylvester. He had a nice quick pit stop, along with the 71 for Polvereri, and Chris Kopech with the number 16 car will pick up as well. Let's go back down to pit road.
Another quick report on the Jerry Marquis car. They did put on right side rubber and a left rear tire as well. So three tires for Jerry Marquis and car number 3. Marquis back out on the speedway.
So with 81 laps in the record books, it is car number 79 for Eddie Flemke, your leader. Setting in 2nd, Nevin George, car number 0. Ted Christopher is 3rd. 4th is Tony Hirschman. 5th is Todd Szegedy. 6th spot is Chuck Hosfeld. 7th spot is Ken Woolley. 8th position is Robbie Summers. 9th position the 31 of Tony Ferrante. And running out the top 10 is the 77 of John Blewett. Let's go down to pit road.
Rick Fuller has won the Spring Sizzler 3 times here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. New team for the 2003 season, and I'm with this car owner and crew chief, Guy Ronzoni. Guy, first of all, how good is that race car, as Rick told you?
It's okay. We're going to be better, though.
Well, you started back in the 31st position, and slowly but surely you're making your way up to the front.
Yeah, it's coming around a little bit.
Okay, that's Guy Ronzoni, and is the crew chief on Rick Fuller's number 1.
Car number 34 also returning to the competition. That's the Dick Houlihan machine. Howie Broad's number 96, and now Ken Bouchard back down on pit road with car number 55. 82 laps now shown complete on the NASCAR Weekly Racing Series scoreboard. Bo Gunning with Eddie Partridge's number 12 back down on pit road. He's been in and out of pit road. Apparently they've developed a couple of problems checking the right rear tire pressure on that machine.
Quick stop for him. He's down and away for the 55 of Bouchard as Gunning remains at his pit stall, as does Mike Moeller. Less than a lap away from the restart. Lemke continuing to lead Nevin George, Ed Christopher, Tony Hirschman, and Todd Szegedy. Check in back in the infield before we go green.
Spoke with Barry Cannell, the crew chief for Ted Christopher's Mystique Motorsports Chevrolet car number 13. I said, Barry, what's the game plan? He looked at me, he said, Gary, right now we're just riding. The car feels really good. Back upstairs.
Well, we're about ready to go back up through the gears. Spotters are saying go, go, go as they come off turn number 4 and work their way back down to the line. Lemke on the inside. Nevin George winds it up tight. Hirschman gives him a shot to the back bumper. And look out, here comes Chuck Hosfeld. Todd Szegedy is right there, and Ken Woolley. Woolley could be the surprise of this event. Robbie Summers back to life.
Here comes Ted Christopher looking to the inside for the race lead off of turn number 4, but Flemke holds him off to complete lap number 84. Christopher back into second. Woolley having a good run there among the leaders. Check that. Flemke checked up just a bit in turn number 2, and everybody stacked up momentarily. They're okay. With George back into second, Christopher to third, side by side for fourth. Hosfeld to the outside, Hirschman down low.
Hosfeld making some magic to the outside of Tony Hirschman. That is the battle currently for the 4th spot on the racetrack. He backs out of it just a bit. Hirschman takes back the 4th spot. Meanwhile, Woolley and the 11 car of Rob Summers are battling just into the top 10. They are side by side. Give the position to Woolley. Here comes Tony Ferrante with the blue number 31.
A great battle between Tony Ferrante down to the inside. Woolley right there, as is Robbie Summers. Give the spot to Tony Ferrante, and we'll move Summers back 1 spot just ahead of John Blewett the third. And here comes Rick Fuller. He's among the lead group now. Off of turn number 4, Jamie the Jet Tomano in that pack as well, and car number 99. 87, laps complete. Bob Polverari there as well. A couple of cars getting
trouble
together.
Now. Down the front straightaway. Rene Dupuis.
Dick Houlihan had nowhere to go in the 34. Caution.
Story the same also for Kenny Bouchard. The racetrack was blocked.
Amazingly, Rene Dupuis will pull away in car number 25 after being hit nearly head on by Dick Houlihan. Houlihan has yet to pull away, as has Bouchard in the 55, remaining idle against the outside wall. Now that car begins to back up. Houlihan trying to pull away.
Well, the right front wheel in that race car, you can see it literally peel back. But Kenny Bouchard is able to pull away with car number 55. Bouchard, we mentioned before, runs a driving school.
Rene going to take it behind the wall. 25 down there.
Rene has been involved in several jingles during the first 88 laps of competition. David Etheridge avoided that situation.
Not by much for Dave. As Houlihan, the only car left on the speedway off of turn number 4, just to the left of the start-finish line.
Let's set the field for you. Car number 79, Ed Flemke, currently your leader. Running in second, Nevin George, car number 0. Third position, the Mystique Motorsports number 13 machine for Ted Christopher. In the 4th spot, driving the Camco number 48, it is Tony Hirschman. 5th spot, the Colton RV, Garbarino number 4 for Chuck Hosfeld. In the 6th position, the 50 of Todd Szegedy. 6th spot, Ken Woolley, the 41, the red car. 7th spot, Tony Ferrante. 8th position, Robbie Summers. 9th position, the 77 of John Blewett. And rounding out the top 10 is the number 1 car for Ricky Fuller. Then it's the 99 of Tomeno, 71 of Polvereri, 3 of Marquis, 94 of Broderick, 15 of Zach Sylvester, and the 7 of Tom Baldwin. That's unofficially currently how they run. Some lap cars into the mix as well. 89 laps and counting. In this, the CarQuest TechNet 200 lap Spring Sizzler from the Stafford Motor Speedway. Let's go back down at pit road.
Well, Chris Kopech sits up on the jack stands as they work on the front end. It looks like either lower control arm or a tie rod was damaged, and they also got damaged the area where it connects to the spindle, but they've been able to free up the hardware that holds it, and they're bolting on the replacement parts right now. So Kopech sits anxiously as the leaders come down pit road. We'll throw it down the other end to Gary Danko.
I got a quick word with Greg Schroner, who is the crew chief for Chuck Hosfeld's machine. First of all, you guys stayed out on the racetrack. What's he telling you about the car?
The car's pretty good right now. We're going to hang in here a little bit longer, see what these guys do here, and we'll pit a little bit later.
That's Greg Schroner, crew chief for Chuck Hosfeld's car. And meanwhile, Ted Christopher has brought his car to the attention of his crew. They go to work on the right side of the car. They did make a chassis adjustment. So right side rubber being applied on the Mystique Motorsports Chevrolet of Ted Christopher, and fuel also being put in as well. Tony Sutton.
Well, Ken Woolley Jr. in. They're changing 3 tires on the number 41. The crew working frantically to get him back out as they check the tires that have come off. Where looks even. Ken Woolley is down off the jacks. They give him a push, and he pulls away in the 41 car.
Well, lap number 90 shows on the scoreboard. Car number 13, Teddy Christopher, came in and out of pit road. It was a very quick pit stop there. Coming out behind him is Bo Gunning with the number 12 car. Tony Hirschman is the next car out. And Ken Woolley with the number 41 machine. Back down on pit road, Tom Baldwin with the number 7. 55 of Kenny Bouchard. Chris Kopech's car working on the left front suspension on car number 16. 91 and counting, just 9 laps shy of the halfway marker in this event. And Ricky Fuller has emerged among the top 6 cars. 3rd row on the outside of Robbie Summers. Again, we emphasize the point that Fuller started back in the 31st starting position. Lemke in row number 1 with Nevin George. Hosfeld setting in the 3rd spot. Hosfeld started back in the 15th starting position.
Pace car about to pull into the infield. Let's check in the pit area really quick.
John Blewett brought car number 77 down pit road. They made a 4-tire change on the Mastro Petiso Pontiac.
Back to green off of turn number 4, and Eddie Flemke leads him into turn number 1 with Nevin George to his outside. That's the front row, 92 laps into the record books here in the Spring Sizzler at Stafford for the Featherlight Modified Series. Flemke inches out front onto the back straightaway and will pull Chuck Hosfeld with him on the inside lane. To the outside, it's Nevin George. Todd Szegedy off turn 4.
As they come back to the line, it is Flemke who's dancing without a partner as he takes back and holds on the number 1 spot. Hosfeld moves in. Nevin George drifts up the racetrack. Here comes Fuller. Told you so. He's among the top 5.
Fuller side by side with Bob Polvereri off of turn number 4 and give Polvereri the 5th spot for now. Puck Fuller into the 6th position just ahead of Robbie Summers and Zach Sylvester. That's the front half of the field as they continue to race side by side for 2nd and 3rd. Hosfeld down low and Nevin George up high. All this a car length behind race leader Eddie Flemke.
Flemke in command, but the big question is for how long. Here comes Hosfeld. Nevin George stuck in the outside lane. They are wheel to wheel down in turn number 1. Position number 2. Still a dogfight. Hosfeld by inches off the 2nd turn. Hosfeld and Nevin George are wheel to wheel. They come back to the line. Kyle give position number 2 to car number 4.
Less than a tire's length between 2nd and 3rd at the start-finish line that time by, and now Hosfeld gets the spot and clears Nevin George off of turn number 2. George tucks in the line in 3rd. Todd Szegedy in 4th, and Bob Polvereri to round out the front 5. Leading the 2nd group is Rick Fuller, 31st. Where that car started this afternoon. 97 laps to go. He's in 6th, going to try and hold off Jerry Marquis. Marquis goes to the outside lane, racing for 6th and 7th, and give it easily to the car number 3 onto the back straightaway.
Jerry Marquis is now appears to be among the fastest cars in the racetrack. He has moved in, taken over the 6th spot. Another car to keep your eyes on is the 15 of Zach Sylvester. Sylvester is coming to the front, and so isn't Teddy Christopher. He is all over the back bumper of Robbie Summers as they head down the back straightaway. But this time, 99 laps are complete when they cross the line.
Christopher, who pitted 9 laps to go on lap number 90, has picked up a bunch of spots since we went back to green a few laps ago. Already under the back bumper of Robbie Summers for a position in the top 10 on the back straightaway, and closing in on Zach Sylvester in a hurry as well, as the field receives the cross flags off of turn number 4 from the starter stand, and Eddie Flemke leads the halfway lap, 100 in the books here in the Spring Sizzler at Stafford. Osfeld in 2nd, Nevin George in 3rd, Szegedy in 4th, and Bob Polvereri, the front 5. All by himself in 6th is Jerry Marquis, 7th is Rick Fuller, 8th is Zach Sylvester, Robbie Summers 9th, and Ted Christopher. The top 10 as they complete lap 101.
Bob Polvereri, an incredible story there, won a Spring Sizzler event, and now he is running just as strong here today. Started among the top 10 cars in the competition. He's a senior citizen, but you wouldn't know it by his performance in this event. He currently sets in position number 5, hunted down by Jerry Marquis.
Christopher just got the 9th spot away from Robbie Summers a moment ago, and now he goes to work on Zach Sylvester. Takes that spot away in turn number 2, and now moves TC into the 8th spot, and within 3 car lengths of Rick Fuller, the driver of car number 1.
Back down to the line, it's still Flemke, your leader. Hosfeld still setting in 2nd. Little further back in the field, we've got a good battle going on between Eric Beers with the number 14 car, the 11 of Robbie Summers, and the 77 of John Blewett.
Side by side through turn number 4, and give Eric Beers the spot on the inside. Was Robbie Summers back 1 position. They head back to turn number 1. That racing going on just inside of the top 10 as Robbie Summers continues to backslide, loses 2-3 spots on the back straightaway now. Blewett goes by, and Woolley goes by, and Tony Ferrante looks to his inside, racing for 15.
Zach Sylvester down underneath Ricky Fuller. That is the battle just into the top 10. Sylvester picks up the spot. Fuller still trying to fight back. Here comes Beers. With him is John Blewett, the 77, and Ken Woolley, the 41.
Rick Fuller, who made a run to the front a few laps ago, now begins to go the other way. Sylvester went to his inside. The 14 went to his inside. Here comes Blewett and Woolley, all bypassing Rick Fuller on the bottom of the speedway. And car number 1, in less than a lap, loses 4 positions. Jeopardy of losing another one now off of turn number 4 as Robbie Summers looks to his inside.
Sure does. 107 laps now into the record books here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Car number 79, Eddie Flemke, still in command of this event. Chuck Hosfeld, who started in the top 10, is still trying to work his way around and pick up the lead, but Nevin George is still applying the pressure with car number 0. The 50 machine. Todd Szegedy has not been out of the top 5. Polvereri setting in the 5th spot. 6th is Marquis. 7th is now Christopher. 8th is Zach Sylvester. 9th unofficially is the 14 of Eric Beers, and rounding out the top 10 is John Blewett, hunted down by Woolley in the 11th spot. 12th is Ricky Fuller. 13th is Robbie Summers. 14th is Tony Ferrante, and 15th is Tony Hirschman. 110 and counting here at the Stafford Motor Speedway.
90 laps to run, and it continues to be Eddie Flemke by 2 car lengths off of turn number 4 over Chuck Hosfeld, who has a car length on Nevin George, and then it's a large gap of some 9 or 10 car lengths back to the race for 4th. That's where we find Todd Szegedy sliding up the speedway, and Bob Polvereri looking to his inside onto the back straightaway. Polvereri can't make it stick, tucks back into that 5th spot. Jerry Marquis, car length behind Bob Polvereri. Then it's almost an entire, well, 3/4 of a straightaway back to Ted Christopher. In that 7th spot, Zach Sylvester, Eric Beers, and John Blewett III are the top 10. Caution flag is out. Major incident up into the corner, and Zach Sylvester had nowhere to go. Got into Bob Polvereri, who was sitting sideways in the middle of turns number 1 and 2.
You can see the fluid coming from beneath the front of car number 15 for Zach Sylvester. That's the Sylvester Construction Company TAS Country Homes machine.
Didn't see the start of the incident. Wolverine already sideways by the time we picked it up here in the tower, and Zach Sylvester had the brakes locked up and had nowhere to go but into the right side of Bob Wolverine's stranded car. Bring out the caution once again here this afternoon. 113 laps into the CarQuest Spring Sizzler, the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series. Ted Christopher has made a pit stop. 25 laps to go. He sets in the fifth spot as he actually gained a few positions as Bob Wolverine was among the lead group, as was Zach Sylvester. We'll see who dives on the pit road under this caution flag.
And with 113 laps, Eddie Flemke is currently your leader with car number 79. Chuck Hosfeld, the number 4, the Bob Garbarino Mystic Missile, sets in second. Nevin George, Ralph Solom Racing Enterprises, number 0, is your third place car. Jerry Marquis, the Make-A-Wish Car Salon, number 3, sets in fourth. And the 13, unofficially, of Ted Christopher, sets in position number 5. Sixth is Eric Beers, unofficially, the 14 car. 7th, the 77 of John Blewett. 8th, the 41 of Woolley. 9th position, the 1 of Ricky Fuller. And 10th position, the 48 of Tony Hirschman. 11th spot, the 31 of Ferrante. 12th spot, Robbie Summers, the 11 car, and unofficially in the 13th position, the number 94 for Jimmy Broderick. 14th spot, Tom Baldwin, the number 7 car, and that is the way they currently run. Unofficially on lap number 114, Dan Avery back down on pit road. His work still continues on the 2 cars involved in the altercation. Bob Pulvereri, hats off to Pulvereri. He was just turning in such a good run here today. And now the leader comes down on pit road. Car number 79, Eddie Flemke into the pits. With him, Chuck Hosfeld, Nevin George, Teddy Christopher, the 50 of Todd Szegedy, Ricky Fuller, the 1, the 31 of Ferrante, the 11 of Rob Summers, the 99 of Toreno. Flemke's car, first car to stop down at pit road. Right side is up. Hosfeld's team doing the same. Let's go down the pit road where the action is.
Well, I'm with the Todd Szegedy. They're working on his crew. The car's at a very strange angle. He's pulled in here. They're giving him gas and 2 tires on the outside. Nevin George tucked in behind Szegedy as they go to the right side on his car. The 79 car, right side tires, they're down, and the 79 tries to pull away really, really tight in here as the crew members dance around to get out front of each other's way. Todd Szegedy waiting for his car, has to back up because he's so tight in. Nevin George down, and they're going to pull away almost together. Down to Gary.
Chuck Hosfeld was also in. They put on a right front, also put on a left rear tire. Ricky Fuller with car number 1 is also in. Now it looks like he has a hard time getting that car started. The crew gives him a push, and he is on their way.
Well, the man that led the parade of cars back onto the racetrack was Teddy Christopher with car number 13. Ferrante is behind him. Then it's Ed Flemke, the 79, next in line of the cars that came out of pit road. The 4 of Hosfeld followed the 79 car. The 50 of Szegedy was next. The 0 of Nevin George. Then it was the 12 and the number 1 car back down to pit road.
I'm with Barry Cunell, the crew chief for Ted Christopher's Mystique Motorsports Chevrolet car number 13. Barry, is there a problem on the car?
We're a little freer than we want to be. We're going to adjust on it until we get it right. That time there we had a left front. We didn't change and it stopped before and it started bouncing. So we were committed to change that left rear tire, but and then we made some more adjustments on it.
That's Barry Cunell, crew chief for Ted Christopher's Mystique Motorsports Chevrolet. Back upstairs.
Work continues behind the wall, the Pulvereri machine. You see extensive damage done to the right side of car number 71. Zach Sylvester's number 15 car behind the wall as well, as they're working on the front suspension of that race car. We saw fluid coming out from beneath it at the scene of the altercation, and that's an indication that that race car, that they're going to be working to try to put another radiator and a front horn section on the car itself that are bolt-on and designed to do just that. Let's go back down to pit road.
Well, Bob Pulvereri's out of the car. Man, it was a hard hit. The thing's really folded in, but it did what it was supposed to do. It absorbed a lot of energy. What happened?
Yeah, it did. I absorbed the rest of it. But I guess the 50 car cut a tire down in going in. I saw the smoke, and
I just tried to avoid, crashing with him, which everything was okay. And I don't know, evidently the other car didn't have his spotter in time, and that kind of messed it up a little bit. But it's unfortunate. It's probably the sun too that played a little part to it with the other car that hit me. But
Are you okay?
oh, I'm fine.
Well, they can always fix the car. Bob Pulvereri out, very disappointed because the car was good, and they got a bunch of work to do on that number 71 car. Back to Gary.
I'm with Dave Hill, the crew chief for Eddie Flemke Jr.'s machine, car number 79. You came down on pit road, and what did you do to that machine?
We put right side tires on. Now we got to wait for the finish. We was hoping for a green flag run because our car kept getting better and better. Now we need a green flag run to get back to the front.
Is the track changing at all?
It's getting better for us.
Okay, that's Dave Hill. He got a big smile on his face, hoping that they're going to go to victory lane here this afternoon. Ben?
Well, he sounds very positive, Gary, with the number 79, and Flemke is right back up front in the thick of things. Keep your eyes on that 41 car of Ken Woolley and John Blewett, the 77. Remember, Blewett's won before here during the competition, so he'll be tough to beat. As they head off turn number 4, back down to the line, front row is now a battle between Jerry Marquis and Eric Beers with the number 14 car.
Again, all we look to the front of the field in turn number 2, and it's going to be Eric Beers in the outside lane having to check up. Woolley was there to take advantage, and John Blewett the third to the inside of Beers. Jerry Marquis continues to lead off of turn 4. Beers way out of shape in the corner. Continues to hang on to that second spot, but only by a half a car length.
Well, Beers literally manhandling the automobile. Blewett is right there to the inside of him. Woolley sets back in the 4th spot. Look a little further back in the field. Here comes Christopher, but behind Hirschman. That's the battle for the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th spot. Nevin George also coming to the front with Flemke. Howie Broad right in the middle of that. Flemke becomes the meat in the sandwich in that one. He somehow makes it on by.
Yeah, they were 3 wide all the way down the front straightaway, and Flemke got around both of them. Howie Broad continues to backslide. Rick Fuller to his inside on the back straightaway. But at the front of the field, it remains Jerry Marquis to lead lap number 121. Eric Beers in the 2nd spot. John Blewett the 3rd, and Ken Woolley make up the front 4. They're all single file back into turn number 2. Chuck Hosfeld a little out of shape. He and Ted Christopher came together. Both cars slid up the speedway. They're okay on the back straightaway. That slip by Christopher allowed Szegedy to take a look to the inside for the 7th spot.
Trouble now. Szegedy and Christopher literally came together, with Szegedy gathering the car back. Meanwhile, directly behind him comes the number 0 for Nevin George. Flemke moves underneath Ferrante, 122 and counting. Marquis leads Eric Beers over John Blewett, Ken Woolley, and the 48 machine of Tony Hirschman.
Beginning to get strung out at the front of the field. Christopher trying to reel in Chuck Hosfeld for that 6th spot. Christopher 7th. 8th is Todd Szegedy. 9th is Nevin George. And to round out the front 10 is Eddie Flemke as those cars come to the front. But tell you what, Jerry Marquis and Eric Beers doing well at the front of the field for not pitting. John Blewett the 3rd in that 3rd spot. Then it's Woolley and Tony Hirschman. That's the best battle among the top 5. And Woolley in the 41, Tony Hirschman in the 48. Here comes Chuck Hosfeld, been one of the quickest cars on the speedway since the drop of the green flag 125 laps ago.
Hirschman still right there with Hosfeld directly behind him, and Teddy Christopher. 125 laps are complete, 75 laps to go. Jerry Marquis knows this track well. He has won a lot of races in open wheel modified racing. Setting strong at the point, his strategy and pit stops were a little different than everyone else. The story for Eric Beers, pretty much one of the same. And those 2 cars are running exceptionally strong at the front of this field.
But the second group having a tough time getting around the race leaders. Hosfeld leading Christopher, Szegedy, Nevin George, and Eddie Flemke from the 5th spot on back, not being able to advance their positions. Everybody just settling in now for the latter stages of this event. Jerry Marquis back to turn number 1 remains the race leader, now by 2 car lengths over Eric Beers in the 2nd spot. Blewett the 3rd in that 3rd position. In 4th is Ken Woolley in the 41, and round out the top 5, Tony Hirschman. He's challenged by Chuck Hosfeld off of turn number 4. Hosfeld in 6th. 7th is Christopher, Szegedy, Nevin George, and Eddie Flemke. That's the top 10, 129 laps in.
Leader still remains Jerry Marquis. Car number 3. 4-car lane separates first from second. Eric Beers in the Mopar Dodge number 14 set against second.
Robbie Summers off the pace on the back straightaway. He'll pull to the infield of road course. Car number 11 slow, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it back to the pit area. That car now sits just about idle in the grass on the back straightaway.
The second Sylvester owned race car is now out of the event. 131 laps in. We go to yellow. We believe the caution comes out for the number 11 car that sat stranded to the inside of the racetrack. That's the TAS Country Homes machine. As the wrecker goes to assist Robbie Summers, who was very strong in the early laps of the event.
Caution for the 9th time here in the CarQuest Spring Sizzler 200 lapper for the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series cars. Marquis continues to lead. Eric Beers in second. Let's check in the infield.
The crew chief for Jerry Marquis machine, car number 3. And first of all, how good is that car?
I don't know. He said it's okay. We'll just see what happens for the last 75 laps here. He says it's okay.
You've had the clock on him. Tell us about the clock.
He's picked up a little bit. I don't know if the other guys have got a little fresher tires. We'll see what happens.
Has Jerry told you whether the track has changed or not?
The car, well, he said the track's starting to come to the race car is what he told us. So we'll hope that's how it's going to be.
Okay, that's the crew chief for Jerry Marquis. To Tony Sutton.
Well, Robbie Summers is behind the wall, and the crews are taking their helmets off, and they're starting to move around slowly. The word is a motor let go on the number 11 car, and Robbie Summers behind the wall, it appears, out for the duration.
So good news for the race leader, Jerry Marquis. Bad news for Robbie Summers. The car beginning to come to Jerry here in the late stages of the event.
Work still continues to be going on with the number 15, the Zach Sylvester race car. We'll ask one of our pit reporters to check on that situation. It appears that that team has been running for the Rookie of the Year honors. They had such a great run at the Thompson International Speedway. It looks like they're trying to get that car back out with 133 laps from the Stafford Motor Speedway. Jerry Marquis is on top of the board. Eric Beers setting in second with car number 14. 77 of John Blewett sets in the 3rd spot. Ken Woolley in position number 4. And Tony Hirschman will round off the top 5. 6th is the number 4 of Chuck Hosfeld. 7th spot, Teddy Christopher. 8th spot, Todd Szegedy. 9th spot, Eddie Flemke. And running up the top 10 is Nevin George. Unofficially in the 11th spot is the number 1 of Ricky Fuller. 31 is running 12th of Tony Ferrante. 94 of Jimmy Broderick is running in the 13th spot. Followed by the 21 of Kenny Berry. The 7 of Tom Baldwin. And the 16 of Chris Kopech. That is unofficial of the way they run on lap 134.
Donnie Leah back out on the speedway in car number 18. As we check into the pit area, as the field gets the 1-to-go signal.
I'm with Eric Chase, the crew chief for John Blewett's number 77 machine. Right now, you guys are very, very strong. You're running in the 3rd position. Can you stay there, or can you go up 2 spots further?
Says it takes a couple laps for it to come in, and the car's coming back to him. See what happens. Long way to go yet.
That is true. That's the crew chief for John Blewett's machine. Back upstairs.
Well, the strategy is going to come into play here. We're 134 laps in. A lot of different approaches. We've seen some of the front-running cars come in and pit early. Others have stayed out. Jerry Marquis is one of those cars that made the decision to stay out.
Back down to the green flag, and at the stripe, it's going to be Eric Beers by a half a car length into turn number 1. Marquis using the inside to his advantage momentarily, but Beers challenging in the outside lane. He'll take the top spot on the back straightaway. Marquis back down to the inside. They are literally nerf bar to nerf bar off of turn number 4. Beers a little out of shape, hangs on to it, and he'll lead at the stripe.
Down to the line they come, and Eric Beers, I told you so, he's going to be a factor in this one.
Trouble, front of the field. Ken Woolley goes around, a little help from Tony Hirschman, gets tagged by Bo Gunning. 3 cars go spinning in turn number 3 to bring out the caution for the 10th time.
The 2 cars that have stopped on the racetrack, now Woolley's car pulls away, is the 41 and the 12 car of Bo Gunning. Gunning became a victim of circumstances in that one, so we're back to yellow, 137 laps in.
Gunning's car, the only car left, turn number 2 after 3 cars tangled.
Donnie Leah's car in and out of pit road. That's the number 18 machine as the Gunning car still set stranded on the racetrack. Well, Eric Beers had the lead. It was short-lived as Jerry Marquis fought back to take it back. John Blewett still setting in third, and Teddy Christopher, defending Spring Sizzler winner, is up to the 4th spot over the 50 of Todd Szegedy. Let's go back down at pit road.
Well, Zach Sylvester with a very disappointed look on his face. It doesn't look like you're going to make it back out, does it?
Nah, no way. It took the radiator, buckled the front clip. There's no way we're going to make it back out. It's just a shame the TS Country Homes Chevy Cavalier was doing real well. We just wanted to have a good run, have a nice finish, you know, and just get some more points. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So we'll regroup and head to Waterford.
That's it from Zach Sylvester down here. We'll see if Gary has anything else.
Well, Tony, we are going to bring Bo Gunning's car, and we'll try to get a word with Bo Gunning. It's a bad day for Bo Gunning. Had problems in the SK modified feature events here this afternoon, and now having problem with the tour car. Back upstairs.
Thank you very much, Gary. Of course, work still continues down at pit road. Bo Gunning's race car being hitched up to the back of the wrecker beneath the Diamond Vision screen. Gunning became kind of a victim of circumstances in that one. Ken Woolley was involved in an altercation that Tony Hirschman, those two cars came together, and that created somewhat of a ripple effect. So we're still under yellow. Work still continues to prepare the racing surface before we're set to go back to green flag competition, 138 and counting here at Jackaroots, Stafford Motor Speedway.
Working the 10th caution of the event for 138. Jerry Marquis, race leader, and has been so for quite some time. With Eric Beers in that 2nd spot, John Blewett the 3rd. Ed Christopher runs 4th in line, followed by Todd Szegedy, Eddie Flunky, Chuck Hosfeld, and Nevin Jor. That is the front half of the field. Tony Hirschman, involved in the incident up in turn number 2, runs next in line, followed by Rick Fuller, Tony Ferrante Jr., Jamie Tomeno, Jimmy Broderick, Howie Brode, Ken Berry, Tom Baldwin. Most of the field out there remaining on the lead lap. Let's go back to the infield and Gary.
I'm with Phil Moran, the crew chief for Todd Szegedy's car, number 50. Phil, I talked to you in the early stages of this event. Has anything changed? Has the car gotten better, or is it neutral right now?
We made one adjustment real quick on the tire stagger on a pit stop there. We had that flat right front, so sort of put us behind a little bit, but we got a good set of tires on it now. Sort of did a little sixth sense there with seeing what was going to happen with Teddy and Chuck there, and Todd did a good heads-up move and got the Haynes car right up in front of those guys. So of the cars that are up there in the front right now, we got the freshest tires, so I think we got a good shot.
This is your only second outing as the crew chief for Todd Szegedy. How's the chemistry been between you two over at the Thompson International Speedway back a few weeks ago and today?
Excellent. Todd's a great kid. He listens well. He's smart. He knows how to drive a race car. He knows how to save a race car until the later stages. And with Don Barker and Bob Cuneo and with Haynes behind us, we've got a real good combination.
That's Phil Moran, crew chief for Todd Szegedy's Haynes Materials Ford. Back upstairs.
Well, real quick, if I could jump in, Bo Gunning's out of the car. Man, this is not the way it's supposed to end.
No, it isn't. You know, we didn't have a good car in the beginning of the race. These guys adjusted. And that last restart, we were really good. I think we could have ran up to the front with it, but we'll never know now.
Bo Gunning out of the car, disappointed, obviously, because the car was coming to him. Now, back upstairs.
Thank you very much, Tony. Work still continues on Kenny Bouchard's car down on pit road. 140 laps now shown on the board. 60 laps remains in this event. Kind of an interesting story with Phil Moran. He was the crew chief for Charlie Pastriak, and actually both Carl Pastriak's cars in past years went over to Todd Szegedy's camp, and he has done exceptionally well for himself. Very personable, as you can hear, is he relates to his driver and relates to this brand new team. I think you're going to see that team very, very strong during the course of the 2003 season. So once again, Jerry Marquis still in command. Eric Beers running a very, very strong second with car number 14. You remember early in this event, Beers' car was in and out of the pit area. They were making adjustments, trying to get more air into the front spoiler of the race car, and they made an adjustment with the sway bar in the race car as well, and all of that so far has paid off, as Beers is running a heels of Ted Christopher with car number 13. They still ran earlier. Remember, Todd Szegedy appears to be among the last cars to pit, which means he has the least amount of laps in his tires.
They'll restart fifth in line. As the field has got the one to go signal, it'll be a single file restart with Jerry Marquis and Eric Beers at the front of the field, John Blewett the third, Ted Christopher and Todd Szegedy will be the front five. Pace car is in off of turn number 4, and we'll look for the green
single file restart as they come off turn number 4 and back down to the line. Jerry Marquis still in command. Beers right there on his back bumper. Blewett still setting in the third spot. With Christopher in fourth, Marquis backs it up. Look out, here comes Ted Christopher. Down underneath John Blewett, Ted Christopher moves in and takes over the third spot. Szegedy moves in the fourth. Car number 50 is marching to the front.
Christopher looking for his third win of the afternoon here at the Stafford Motor Speedway, has already notched 2 SK modified victories. Now sets in third behind Jerry Marquis and Eric Beers with 56 laps to go in the CarQuest Spring Sizzler. Marquis leads, Beers second, Christopher third, Szegedy fourth, John Blewett the third back to the fifth spot, followed by Eddie Flemke, Chuck Hosfeld, Nevin George, Tony Hirschman, and Rick Fuller, the front 10, everybody single file back down to the stripe.
As they work their way off turn number 4, it's still Marquis in command. Here comes Christopher. He's down underneath Eric Beers. Beers shakes him off. Down the back straightaway, Beers still back in second.
Move Flemke into the top 5, got around John Blewett the third a moment ago. Blewett back to the 6th spot. He's challenged by Chuck Hosfeld. Yellow cars battling for 6th and 7th. Nevin George and Tony Hirschman also in that pack. Back down to turn number 1. Christopher gets into the back of Beers momentarily in turn number 2 as they race for 2nd and 3rd. Szegedy into the back of Christopher, racing for the 3rd and 4th spots.
It's still Jerry Marquis who brings them back to the line. The top 10 cars are literally nose to tail when they come back to the stripe. 147 laps, just 3 laps shy of the 3/4 mark of this event. Marquis is still in command. Further back in the field, Hosfeld, Nevin George, along with Hirschman and Ricky Fuller, have now emerged among the top 10. We've got a bid. Flemke takes over the 4th spot. Ed Flemke's crew chief was right. Flemke has a thing for the top guns up front. He's one of them.
Cars really come to life the last few laps. Christopher gets way out of shape. Everybody takes evasive action. They're okay, and Christopher, believe it or not, hangs on to the 3rd spot.
And that gives Eric Beers a little bit of breathing room. Setting in the 2nd spot. Christopher's car definitely has a problem between turns 3 and 4. It's a very loose race car, but Christopher is manhandling that machine and still holding on in the 3rd spot. Flemke is in 4th.
Handling has gone away from the 13 of Ted Christopher.
Trouble now. Nevin George goes around as John Blewett's car, something in that machine appeared to develop a problem, because as they went down to turn number 3, Blewett's car literally seemed to shut down. Nevin George had no place to go, came up and made contact with the Blewett race car, and it almost appears as if perhaps a panhard or a track bar is broke on the number 77 car, but Nevin George did an unbelievable job of gathering the car back.
The 11th caution of the event here on lap number 152. 2 cars involved up in turn number 3. John Blewett third in the 77, and Nevin George did a quick spin. Car number 0, he has since pulled away, as has John Blewett the third. Both of them remain on the speedway. Jerry Marquis continues to lead under this 11th caution. Eric Beers in 2nd, having a great run here this afternoon. Ted Christopher hanging on to 3rd. Flemke has come alive here in the late stages of the Spring Sizzler. He's in 4th, and Todd Szegedy to round out the front 5. Into the final 50 laps of this 200-lap event here at Stafford for the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series. John Blewett the third now going to head to the pit lane. Car number 77, as will Nevin George in the 0. Carl Pastriak will return to the race a few laps ago. will head back to the infield, as will Mike Moeller, it appears.
Well, the word on John Blewett's number 77 machine, I just talked with the car owner, Kurt Chase, and the word is that they broke a wheel on that car. So tough break for car number 77. He is now in his pit stall. The crew now will jack up the car, and they will go to work on the left side of that machine. Left rear tire going on. Also, Nevin George with car number 0 is in as well. They are looking on the right side of that car, making sure that there's not a Nerf bar rub on that car. John Blewett is on the way. The 0 of George is still in his stall. Now he's on his way as well. To Tony Sutton.
Oh, yeah, I was standing here watching Nevin George, and they were working on the car. The stagger's way off of the car. They were checking air pressure on 3 of the tires on that car to make sure that they were balanced properly. And Saz was yelling commands to the guys back on the other side of the wall, the adjustment that he wants, and he was down and away. Both cars involved in that incident.
Something to miss on car number 14 of Eric Beers. We'll see if Gary Danko can get the heads up on what has gone wrong with our second place car.
Well,
Christopher into the second spot now.
Eric Beers' machine being pushed. That was the second place car, and that's going to move Teddy Christopher up to second.
Go to Gary.
And Kyle, we're working our way down there. We will have a report on number 14 machine in just a moment.
So the number 14 car, Beers turning in an impressive run here this afternoon, being assisted by the Newman Lincoln Mercury wrecker as it's being pushed down on pit road. As the Grasso team goes to assist the 14. There's the gas can. Kyle, it appears that they have run out of gas.
That car remains in its pit stall and won't refire. And the pace car is actually on pit road. Leader is coming off of turn number 4. And Eric Beers refires in time. We'll see if he can get out ahead of the leaders as Jerry Marquis is back in turn number 1. He's the top spot holder. Ted Christopher in second. Beers will go at least 1 lap down. Lemke in third. 4th is Szegedy. 5th is Hosfeld. That's the way they run back to turn number 4.
Off the turn, back down to the line. Christopher pulls it out of line. He pulls down to the inside of Jerry Marquis as they work their way down into turn number 1. Marquis goes up the hill. Lead change. Teddy Christopher, defending race winner, pulls to the inside. TC, Ted Christopher's been to victory lane twice. He wants to make it 3 times today. This is the big dance. He takes over the lead.
He'll take the top spot back on lap number 157. Christopher, the new race leader. Marquis stuck in the outside lane, will lose second. Marquis gets a little loose, tags the outside wall in turn number 2, and will drop outside of the top 5 into turn number 3. Marquis goes backwards as the leaders come off turn 4. Christopher setting the pace. Lemke in second, Szegedy in third, Hosfeld 4th, and Hirschman to round out the top 5. They race back to turn 2.
Off the second turn, down the back straightaway, Ted Christopher in command. Eddie Flemke setting in second. Todd Szegedy in the 3rd spot. Hosfeld in the 4th position, and Hirschman sets in 5th. Unofficially in 6th, it's Ricky Fuller. 7th is Ferrante. 8th position, the 99 of Tomeno. 9th position, the number 3 of Marquis. And rounding out the top 10 is the 41. We go to yellow.
Caution out on the speedway once again this afternoon. Just about to mention Fuller and Tony Ferrante. They've been having a great day among the top 10 all afternoon, as has Rick Fuller, who started way in the back 31st. Tony Ferrante has been consistently quiet all afternoon as well in the 31. And may pay off for both of them with 40 laps to go.
Let's check back in with Gary Danko. I believe he has some information on the 14 car.
Yeah, Ben, I'm with the owner of that car, Billy Barricalicio. Bear, what happened to your machine?
I don't know, it's a brand new car, brand new fuel cell, and probably my fault. I didn't check the pickup, it probably ain't on the bottom. Started with 18 gallons, dumped 7. I don't know, wasn't enough pickup, got to be up in the cell. I mean, I don't know, my fault, I guess.
Tough break for car number 14. Eric Beer, certainly a talented race car driver, and I can guarantee you they will find victory lane at one point during the 2003 season. To Tony Sutton.
Well, we're heading down to the pits for the number 3, Jerry Marquis, to find out exactly what's going on with that car if the handles have gone away.
Into the final 40 laps here at the Stafford Motor Speedway.
So 161 laps are complete. Mysteriously, a caution flag comes out of the field. Car number 13 still remains your leader. Now Nevin George pulls out of line.
Looks like he may be heading for pit road.
14 also looking perhaps to head back down to pit road. Down at pit road, Nevin George back to the pits. Eric Beers with the number 14 car also down at pit road.
Going to be a quick caution. We'll get the 1 to go signal. This time as they cross the start finish line, Christopher Flemke, Szegedy, Osfeld, and Hirschman. Top 5. Let's go to the pits.
Well, Jerry Marquis did touch the wall in the back straightaway, and it has affected the handling of the car. And I said, was the car getting loose? They said, no, he had some help getting into the wall. But the number 3 definitely not handling the way it was just a few laps ago as he struggles to stay up with the field.
Well, the field is single file as we're about ready to go back to green. 162 laps are complete. Eric Beers comes back down at pit road. Being held at the entrance to pit road is car number, at the exit of pit road rather, is car number 14. Let's go back down to pit road.
I'm with Ralph Solom, the owner and crew chief of Nevin George's car number 0 machine. Ralph, you brought her back down. What's the matter?
We had a low left rear. We put air in it, put too much in it. We just tried to balance it out.
Can you get that car back to the front?
Yeah, we'll get back.
Okay, that's Ralph Solom.
Green flag is back out. Flemke goes to the bottom, shifts to the outside. Here comes Szegedy.
Yeah, the shift is going to cost Flemke. Szegedy takes the 2nd spot, move Flemke back to 3rd. Osfeld looks on in 4th as Christopher continues the lead off of turn number 4. He'll complete 164 laps of the 200 and make up the CarQuest Spring Sizzler here at Stafford. And looking for the lead was Szegedy on the front straightaway. Took a look to the inside, fell back in the line. Now a car length behind Ted Christopher on the back straightaway.
Todd Szegedy literally all over the back bumper of Ted Christopher, still in command. Flemke setting back in that 3rd spot. 4th is Osfeld, and 5th is Tony Hirschman. 6th spot is Ricky Fuller. Challenge for the lead. Szegedy tried it, it just didn't work.
Here comes Flemke. Yep. Look to the outside. Now to the outside of Flemke is Chuck Osfeld.
Here comes Hirschman to the inside of Osfeld.
Really shuffling the deck at the front of the field are the front 5. Christopher continues the lead. Car length and a half on the back straightaway over Todd Szegedy in the 2nd spot. Flemke now begins to reel the lead duo back in 3rd, and a change for 4th. Tony Hirschman getting around Chuck Osfeld for that position.
Hirschman now into the 4th spot solidly. Osfeld back in the 5th spot. Ricky Fuller is 6th. 167 shows up on the board. Szegedy gave a shot to the bumper of Christopher. That shuffled things up. Flemke's got the best seat in the house to watch, but he's a player.
Right now a 3-car breakaway at the front. Christopher, Szegedy, and Flemke, and about 4 car lengths back to Tony Hirschman, setting all by himself and unchallenged in 4th. 5th is Osfeld. 6th is Rick Fuller, having a good run here in the late stages. Tony Ferrante in that 7th spot. Jamie Tomeno next in line, followed by the 41 car for Ken Woolley Jr., who's been among the leaders all afternoon long.
Szegedy tries it again. It just doesn't work. Flemke still waiting in the wings. Hirschman there with him. But Christopher leads him back to the line.
30 laps to go as Ted Christopher leads back to turn number 2 by a car length. Tony Hirschman joins the front 3 to make it a 4-car battle at the front. Szegedy in 2nd, Flemke 3rd, Hirschman 4th. Now it's back a couple of car lengths to that 5th place competitor, Chuck Osfeld. Race winner a couple of weeks ago in the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series. in that 5th spot. Rick Fuller in 6th, who struggled a couple of weeks ago. This is his best performance of the 03 season thus far in 2 events.
Sure is. Some great racing action going on there. But 172 up on the board. And it's still Christopher comes up on a lap car. Howie Broad with the number 96 machine. Further back in the field, Tomeno, Ferrante, and Woolley are battling. That's just into the bottom of the top 10.
Mano down to the inside of Tony Ferrante. And Ken Woolley, second lane back all the way to the inside, and we'll get around Tony Ferrante as a challenge up front. Szegedy looked to the inside of Christopher going into turn number 3. Had to backpedal it just a bit into 3rd turn, and Christopher hangs on to the top spot. 26 laps to go.
But it still remains Christopher on top. Hirschman really applying the pressure to Eddie Flemke. That's the battle for the 3rd and the 4th spot. Then about 4 car lanes separate the next battle, which is between Hosfeld and Ricky Fuller.
What was a 4-car battle for the race lead a couple of laps ago has thinned out to 2, and it's between Ed Christopher in the 13 and the 50. Todd Szegedy, Flemke, and Hirschman try to close the gap between them and the lead duo. They battle amongst themselves for 3rd and 4th, and the battle for 5th between Hosfeld and Ricky Fuller. So 3 groups of 2 on the speedway now among the front 6. Then it's Jamie Tomeno and Ken Woolley running side by side here for the 7th and 8th spot.
No question about it. It is still not over with yet. 177 and counting. There has been some incredible wheel-to-wheel competition all afternoon among the top 5. Nobody has been able to pull away from anyone in this event.
Laps dwindling down as Christopher opens up now 3 car lengths between himself and Todd Szegedy. Flemke and Hirschman tend to ride in their 3rd and 4th spots. 5th, almost a half a straightaway back now, is Chuck Hosfeld, challenged by Rick Fuller. Might be the best battle on the speedway among the leaders. Here comes Fuller down to the inside of Chuck Hosfeld on the front straightaway.
Fuller's trying it. It just doesn't work. Hosfeld maintains the spot.
Howie Broad going to call it an afternoon in car number 96 as the crew pushing that car on the pit lane.
They come off the turn, back down to the line. Here's lap number 180.
Don Blewett the 3rd gets around Tony Ferrante.
Blewett's come from the back. Remember, he had a problem, broke a rim of the race car, and he is among the quicker cars in the racetrack. But the clock is ticking. Less than 20 laps, it's all going to be history.
Christopher continues to open up about a half a car length every lap. It's now 5 car lengths separating himself from Todd Szegedy, and here comes Ed Flemke in 3rd, has reeled in Szegedy for that spot. Tony Hirschman joins Flemke to make it a 3-way battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Christopher 18 laps away from pulling a 3-peat in one day here at Stafford Motor Speedway, has already won 2 SK Modified features this afternoon, has led a good chunk of this event, the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series.
Here comes Flemke trying to move down underneath Todd Szegedy for 2nd. It just doesn't work with the bonsai move to the bottom of turn number 1.
And Woolley Jr. now to the inside of Rick Fuller further back in the field. That's racing for the 5th, 6th, and 7th spot between Hosfeld, Fuller, and Woolley. Woolley down to the inside of Fuller. Now looks to make it 3 wide. And their race for 2nd is on. Szegedy going to the outside of Flemke, actually Flemke to the inside, and will take the 2nd spot. Szegedy loses the position. He'll be settling into 3rd. Hirschman rides in 4th. 15 to go.
5th spot is still Chuck Hosfeld. 6th spot, Ricky Fuller. Fuller now going to the outside of Hosfeld.
Hosfeld got out of shape off of turn number 4. It looked like he and Fuller might have come together just a bit.
That's the battle for the 5th spot, and Fuller almost has the 5th spot. Now Hosfeld takes it back. Lap car, Mike Moeller, just in front of them, 186 and counting.
Hosfeld not giving an inch on the bottom of the speedway, and here comes, they close the door on Mike Moeller. And, trouble. Fuller gets himself into trouble as he got into the 4 of Hosfeld. Fuller overcorrected, went around all by himself, and it'll bring out the caution. Now with 13 laps to go,
Well, this is going to change the whole complexion of this one. It's
Fuller.
going to be a shootout and tighten it all back up.
Fuller going behind the wall. Didn't look like there was a lot of damage to car number 1, but apparently there's more than we can see up here in the tower. That car goes behind the wall while racing for the 5th spot.
Now we can see the crew members all running over to the number 1 machine. Let's set the field for you. 187 up on the board. Ted Christopher, your leader, defending race winners. He's won twice here today. He's looking to pull it off and add his name into the record books as a 3-time Spring Sizzler winner. Eddie Flemke setting in second with the 79. Todd Szegedy in the 3rd spot. Tony Hirschman in the 4th spot. 5th spot is Chuck Hosfeld. 6th spot is Ken Woolley. Unofficially in the 7th spot, the 99 of Jamie Tomeno. Unofficially in the 8th spot is the 31 of Ferrante, followed by the 21 of Kenny Berry and the 0 of Nevin George. Let's go down to pit road.
Rick Fuller is behind pit wall. They broke a tie rod on that machine, so a tough break for Rick Fuller. He was having a strong run here this afternoon. I've also caught up with Dave Hill, the crew chief for Eddie Flemke Jr.'s car. Well, we are now in the closing stages. Your thoughts on that?
Well, we're running the same lap times as Teddy. Whether we can pass him or not, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. Teddy gets around this place good, but I believe tonight might be our night.
Okay, big smile on Dave Hill's face. They think possibly they can go to victory lane here this afternoon. To Tony Sutton.
Well, we really don't have anything down here other than the crews are all radioing their drivers. Stay on top of the wheel. Stay up on the wheel. This is it. We've only got 13 laps to go before this is over. Those guys in the front are all being coached on exactly what to do and when for the next 12 laps.
Thank you very much, Tony, down in the infield under the 13th caution of the CarQuest Spring Sizzler. Christopher's led all the laps since lap number 157. He'll be 10 away from the checkered flag when we go back to the green flag. Mike Fuller going to head back out on the speedway as we go back to the pits.
And I'm with Barry Cunell, the crew chief for Ted Christopher's car. Well, Barry, it's time now. What has Teddy told you?
He says it feels pretty good and turn it loose.
Is he worried about Eddie Jr. behind him?
Just on this restart here, if we can get in a rhythm, we'll be all right, but we got to get through these first couple of laps here.
Things are going to get interesting. That is Barry Cunell, the crew chief for Ted Christopher's Mystique Motorsports Chevrolet, back upstairs.
Well, rhythm is what it's going to be about on this restart. You heard it right from the crew chief, Barry Cunell. Teddy Christopher, been there, done that, knows all about it. They come off turn number 4. Down to the line, and look at the nice jump that Ted Christopher gets on Ed Flemke.
With 3 car lengths by the time they hit turn 1. Flemke reeled him in just a bit, but it continues to be Christopher over Flemke by a car length and a half. Szegedy a car length behind Flemke in 3rd. Hirschman and Hosfeld, the top 5 off of turn number 4. Into the final 10 of the CarQuest Spring Sizzler.
Throw Woolley into that mix. He's currently sitting in the 6th spot with the number 99 of Jamie Tomeno setting in position number 7. Flemke now reels in on the back bumper of Teddy Christopher. Christopher's commanding lead is going, almost gone. Here comes Flemke. Bold move to the bottom.
Down
inside.
Everybody here at Stafford Speedway on their feet, cheering for Eddie Flemke. Takes the top spot. 8 laps remaining. He's the new race leader in turn 3.
Eddie Flemke made it look so easy as he bonsai'd in, took over the number 1 spot. Here comes Christopher back to life.
Christopher going to use the long way around, looking to the outside as he went upstairs. Szegedy took a look downstairs, racing for that 2nd spot. Hirschman is there, as is Chuck Hosfeld. 5 cars under a blanket off turn 4. 194 complete, and it continues to be Flemke by a car length.
Flemke still guarding that spot. Here comes Christopher. Bold move to the bottom, patented. Ted Christopher move on the inside, can't do it. Szegedy is right there. So is in Hirschman, so is in Hosfeld. It's not over with yet. 195, 5 laps to go.
Flemke races across the stripe as the race leader. Christopher looks to the outside, dives down to the inside. trying to retake the top spot. Flemke strong in the outside lane. It's going to be Christopher Flemke into the outside wall on the back straightaway.
Ted Christopher took over the lead. He muscled Flemke. Flemke tagged the wall. We're still green and racing. Back to the line they come, 196. Ted Christopher back into command. Todd Szegedy still running in second, and third is Tony Hirschman.
Hirschman in third.
Flemke now trying to get the car to the bottom of the racetrack. It drifts up the hill as we are still under green as they come off turn number 4. 197 back to the line. Christopher still in command.
Flemke peeled the right front back when he and Christopher came together off of turn number 2 just a couple of laps ago. Flemke trying to hang on to the lead lap. This one may not be over as Flemke slows. Christopher approaches him off of turn number 4. They're within a straightaway. Here comes Christopher to the outside of a lap car. Into the final 2 laps. Szegedy has reeled in Ted Christopher for the race lead. They're back in turn 1. Hirschman is there. Hausfeld is there. 4 cars have a shot at this one on the back straightaway in the final few circuits. It'll be the white flag coming up for Ted Christopher.
As they come off turn number 4, it is Christopher who moves in. Lap car in front of him is Ricky Fuller. Christopher goes to the outside. Still trying to hold on. Flemke still running. Right front wheel literally peeled back on the race car. But into turn number 3 and off the 4th turn. He has done it. He's won 2 SK Modified events and now the 3rd event of the day, the greatest race in the history of spring. 3-time winner for Sizzler competition, TC Ted Christopher. Puts the Mystique Motorsports number 13 back into CarQuest Victory Lane. Todd Szegedy finishing into the runner-up spot. Tony Hirschman unofficially in the 3rd spot with the 4 of Chuck Hausfeld to round out the top 4. Unofficially in 5th is Ken Woolley. 6th spot unofficially, the 99 of Jamie Tomeno. In the 7th spot, the number 3 for Jerry Marquis. 8th position, this is all unofficial, the number 0 for Nevin George. 9th spot, the number 31 for Tony Ferrante. And rounding out the top 10 unofficially is car number 21 for Kenny Berre.
Another classic finish here for the CarQuest Spring Sizzler and the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series competitors. And for the 3rd time in one afternoon, Ted Christopher visits CarQuest Victory Lane as he has held off Todd Szegedy, Tony Hirschman, en route to the win. Leading just the last couple of laps, got around Eddie Flemke when they tangled over in turn number 2. Flemke limped around to the finish, albeit a lap down to race leader and eventual race winner, Ted Christopher. Victory Lane ceremony set to get underway once again for TC down in CarQuest Victory Lane, and we'll head down there momentarily. Don't forget, we're back in action this Friday night as our NASCAR Dodge Weekly Series heats up for the summer months. NASCAR Busch North Series will be back here at the Speedway in just a couple of weeks as well. Raleigh will fill us in on all the information coming up here in just a moment. As the teams begin to head back to the pit area, the NASCAR Featherlight Modified Series will also be back here in the month of May for their 2nd stop of the 2003 season here at Stafford. Let's hear from our top 3 as we're set to go to Victory Lane.
Well, Teddy Christopher taking a little bit of time to get unbolted. Obviously, a little wear and tear on the body after all the racing today. But, man, how can you possibly fault the finishes of the number 13 crew? Teddy hangs his helmet up. He's got his Hans device he's taking off. Working to make sure all the safety gear is correct. A little trouble hanging his helmet right now. It takes a couple of seconds to get out with all the safety gear, but I'll tell you what, there's no lack of enthusiasm or excitement on the face of Ted Christopher after a perfect day at the Spring Sizzler. Open wheel racing, a perfect day for the number 13 crew and Ted Christopher. The crew is here ready to celebrate. Ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman who has dominated open wheel racing here today takes a little bit of Village Spring water and is about to get out. A large round of applause for the guy who has dominated today. Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Christopher. Unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't have scripted this. You had to work for everything you got, but what a magnificent performance. 200 laps. Flimke had you. He slipped up a little bit, and you got underneath him. Congratulations on a terrific drive.
Yeah, I really didn't like to see Eddie get like that, but we come out the turner and he was banging in me really good, and you know, we just tangled wheels there. Unfortunately, he got what he got, but yeah, I gotta say thanks to all this crew and Galante and everything. It was a long day, but yeah, these are days you dream about.
Oh, I'm telling you, I could just tell when you pulled up. You guys can come over here if you want. Here's Jimmy Galante, the owner. Big hug to his driver. Jimmy, what a marvelous performance by your driver today.
Great crew, great guys. That's all I can say.
I'll tell you what, it's a marquee that's going to be a long time before it's ever broken, I can tell you that. As the crew's here to celebrate, man, I won't ask you to explain everything because I'll tell you what, you're probably just catching your breath, but man, what a wonderful performance you did today.
Yeah, it was a long day, you know. Like I said, these are definitely weekends you dream about, and I just got to really thank everybody here because we started off real bad at Thompson and had 3 races there and didn't do good at all, but you know, to come back here and do well like this, it's, you know, dedication and hard work that they put in, you know, every week here.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it's something to live for, it's something to watch for, it's something to remember for a long time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our winner, Ted Christopher, now down to Gary Danko and the rest of the podium finishers.
Well, Todd Szegedy has climbed out of his Haynes Materials Ford car number 50. First of all, congratulations, Todd. Great job for you in this race team today.
Thanks. This Haynes Ford was absolutely flying. On the short runs, we were really fast. The long runs, we started getting loose. It was just a fine adjustment. We had an awesome race car here. I just used my head, actually. I mean, it actually works, just taking it easy and let everybody place where they belong in the race. And you're only as good as your car is. So, you know, I definitely got a lot of good lucky breaks. You know, second place is awesome. I mean, I would have loved to win, and I just stayed out of trouble, and you know, we had a good second place finish.
Did the track change a lot this afternoon?
From what I could feel, that the track loosened up. We could have definitely tightened the car up, and I think we would have been a lot better. So it definitely loosened up.
Did you get a chance to see on the back straightaway the altercation between Teddy Christopher and Eddie Flemke Jr.?
Well, all I can say is they were both driving the wheels off their cars, and they were all crossed up when they were side by side with each other. I don't think it's anybody's fault there. They were just racing real hard, and they touch wheels, kind of like what a lot of us have done down the backstretch. And when you touch wheels, the wheels lock up, and the car's pointing all kinds of directions that you don't want it to, and that's how it happens.
Tell us about your new crew chief for the 2003 season, Phil Moran.
Phil is great. We have a good personal relationship. He's very calm, keeps me cool out in the track. We also, you know, they spend a lot of time at the shop preparing the cars, and we do pit stop practices and stuff like that, and he's a very good team organizer.
That's Todd Szegedy. He finishes second here this afternoon. In a moment, we'll catch up with Tony Hirschman.
All right, very good. While you work your way down, Gary, let me remind everybody that our NASCAR Weekly Racing Series presented by Dodge will be on the roll come next Friday night. We certainly hope you'll be joining us. Now back to Gary.
I'm with 3-time National Modified Champion Tony Hirschman, the driver of car number 48. Certainly a very strong run for you in this team.
It was. You know, the car was good right out of the trailer. We run good all day. We run in the top 5. We were 5th in a jingle in 1 and 2 there. I got dropped back from 5th to 9th, and it took a while to get back up there. You know, and them guys at the end were battling hard. I could gain on them through the corners on the straightaway. So we're gaining on this place. Hopefully by next Friday night, you know, when we come back here, we can tweak a little bit more. You know, we got to win a race here soon.
You got to see some of those battles unfold in front of you. Talk about that.
Guys run hard. I mean, they don't, you know what I mean? They don't quit. You know, lap after lap, they got their nose. They run hard. I mean, I usually don't run that hard. Try to save something for the end, but them guys run lap after lap like that. You know, it's you know, sooner or later something's going to happen, and guys get together. You know, Eddie bounced off the wall back there, but they were running hard.
Was there a lot of pressure on you, especially today, and actually all the race teams? 45 minutes of practice, then time trialing, and then it was time to go feature event racing.
No, I like the one-day shows. Come in the morning, you know, and go home at night. You know, I don't like when the shows get drug out 2-3 days. No, it was good. I mean, maybe because my car worked so good right out of the trailer today, and you know, we didn't have to struggle. You know, that's why I liked it so much.
good third-place finish for you. Now you head on to the Waterford Speed Bowl.
Yeah, we did real good there last year. We won the pole there. We got crashed out of the race, so we're looking forward.
Tony Hirschman, 3-time National Modified Champion. He comes home in the third place finish here this evening. Let's send it back upstairs to Raleigh Jacobs.